Coming up on market shares, the Iranian foreign minister has announced the Strait of Hormuz will completely open, how oil prices are responding.
And Fed Chair Jerome Powell is under heat from President Donald Trump again, what this means for the remainder of his term.
And sneaker company Albaugh stock is on track for a 400% gain. Boy, those shoes are moving fast this week as it pivots to AI. Hold on to your wallets because market shares starts right now. Good Friday afternoon and welcome into Market Shares. I'm Riley Underwood.
And I'm Drew Albaugh. Markets closed just a few minutes ago. So let's take a look at how the major indexes closed out the week. And Riley, I don't even know if we need to be here because it's all green. The NASDAQ, the Dow, and the S&P. You see it. Big spikes. The NASDAQ up just over 1% today, Dow at 2%, and S&P at 1.2%. But really, it's been all 5 days for all three of these major indexes.
Strong earnings across the board. That means companies are making their good money, and investors are too. A lot of hype around the tech stocks as we've been seeing all year long. And it's really just across the board, especially with the more peaceful things happening in the world. Not as much war right now with the ceasefires. It's green and it's showing in the stock market.
Yeah, the Iran foreign minister said that the Strait of Hormuz is going to be open for at least the 10-day ceasefire, and the NASDAQ up 7% this week alone. It's 12 straight green days for the NASDAQ. All three of these major indexes at a year high for the week over week. So really, it's just all green all around. Finally, after a lot of red.
Let's take a look at our first market mover, and this one is Allbirds. No, you may know this company from the shoe because they had a very popular shoe, especially in Silicon Valley in the late 2010s. But it's not a shoe company anymore. They've just changed to an AI company.
They flip-flopped.
They flip-flopped. I saw what you did there, Drew. I saw what you did there. They sold their business for $39 million last month. Now, that's less than 1% of its previous $4 billion valuation. So that was surprising to a lot of people. Now they've announced that they're rebranding itself to Newbird AI. So from Allbirds Shoes to Newbird AI. So from a shoe company now to an AI company.
Yeah.
And you see it. The spike from investors, they're wondering what is going on with this shoe company getting into AI. They must know something that we don't know about. People are investing, people are taking notice, and it's in the green, up 375% this week alone.
Yeah, that's not bad. How about it? From shoes to AI.
Exactly.
All right, moving on. NVIDIA, running under the ticker NVDA, up just north of $200. That's a high since November. NVIDIA's stock up 1% today, but it's up from about $190 up to $10 in the last 5 days. And yes, the Strait of Hormuz, of course, been helping out pretty much every single stock. But in particular, CEO Jensen Huang says NVIDIA has $1 trillion of CPU orders coming along the way. And that's huge because companies like Meta, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, they're snatching up NVIDIA's AI chips. And really, they can only make them so fast. That's the big problem, that they can't make enough of them. That's always a good thing when your company's main driving force can't make enough of its own product and it's making new language processing units. It's announcing a new AI chip as well. So NVIDIA's stock in the green for multiple reasons, but as we continue to see the AI boom unfold, someone's got to make the chips. NVIDIA, a key contributor as to why. All right, let's get to our third and final big market mover, and it is Oracle, running under ORCL, up 24% this week alone. Up just the 1% today, but boy, is it been a big shift. Just last week, Oracle was running at a $120 price tag. That's a 58% decrease, the 52-week high previous to that. But now finally, Oracle up in the green, and boy, was it a big response this last 5 days.
Oracle having a huge month. This is their 6th consecutive week closing in the green. Big tech stocks all across the board. We talked about NVIDIA. Now we're talking about Oracle having huge weeks. Great with the Strait of Hormuz opening up. Everyone needs chips, and they just can't seem to have enough of them.
Yeah, and this is the biggest week-to-week green for Oracle since 1999. the dot-com boom and eventual bust, of course. So that's how huge this has been for Oracle, and the big reason why expanded partnership with Bloom Energy, 2.8 gigawatts of on-site fuel cell capacity, and it's helping the power sites, the big bottleneck for AI that Oracle has right now. That's the thing that's helping it out, and that's what investors see and why it's in the green.
A lot of cloud computing in the Oracle circle. That's what they're big at right now. Well, a new update coming out of Iran. The country's foreign minister announced the vital trade choke point open to all commercial vessels.
That's right. Market Shares analyst Sheridan Lee joins us in studio on what this means for ceasefire negotiations. Sheridan?
Yeah, guys, the price of oil plummeted today with the latest news of the ongoing war in Iran, being Iran's foreign minister declaring the Strait of Hormuz completely open for all commercial vessels to align with the ceasefire in Lebanon. U.S. crude oil took a plunge of 12% to about $83 per barrel, and international crude oil hit a high of $89 per barrel, according to analysts. A 10-day ceasefire deal between Israel and Lebanon took effect yesterday evening. After Israel continued attacks, Lebanon military group Hezbollah, the Strait of Hormuz is effectively closed to most commercial shipping traffic due to Iran's threats and ongoing U.S. military blockades of Iranian ports. President Donald Trump said on Truth Social yesterday that this has been a historic day for Lebanon and good things are happening with the ceasefire between the two. Earlier this morning, the national average at the gas pump was sitting at $4.09 per gallon, but it's projected that this could drop below the $4 mark starting as early as this weekend, though it may be a while before gas prices begin to settle long term. The Strait opening marked massive development and the markets reacted almost instantly. The ceasefire is set to expire on April 21st, but the U.S. blockade is still active, leaving room for things to change really at any moment.
So, Sharon, how bad has the economic damage actually been since the Strait closed? And is this a cause or a significant factor in the gas prices, how they've been higher over the past couple of weeks? Just take us through that.
Absolutely. The Strait closure has been one of the most significant causes of elevated gas prices over the past few weeks. The damage has been significant and has been felt globally and not just in the U.S. We didn't mention earlier, but Brent crude oil at one point has since kicked off as close to hitting the $100 mark per barrel. Some other countries are seeing direct shortages at the pump in addition to inflation prices.
What does the Israel and Lebanon ceasefire look like on the ground right now, and how is it holding up since last night?
Yeah, this morning it seems to be intact and holding up okay, but it is fragile. Some residents of that area were seen celebrating last night due to the ceasefire, but we'll be monitoring on how the ceasefire is holding long term.
What can we expect to happen if the ceasefire expires on the April 21st date with no deal in place yet?
That is a very possible scenario, and the market analysts are watching very closely. If the ceasefire isn't extended, we could see the Strait close again almost immediately and potentially see the market react almost as instantaneously as it did today, but in the opposite direction with more conflict between parties involved that would only push the prices of barrel oil back closer to the $100 mark. And for Americans on the go, seeing a gallon go back to over $4 and maybe even higher prices going into the summer weeks.
All right, thanks so much. Coming up on Market Shares, Netflix's stock is under pressure after co-founder Reed Hastings steps down. What this means for Netflix.
Jason, let's go see your room.
What do you think? We kept it a little spare, so you can decorate it how you like.
Dinner! Go?
Excellent. Soccer is fun. Yeah, I saw you guys out there. We're the family.
Yeah!
Oh, I thought you were on my team. Wait.
Welcome back to Market Shares. The richest nominee for the Federal Reserve chair could potentially be shifting the Fed structure entirely. Our Vanessa Shimoni has more on what's going on and what Wall Street can expect. Vanessa?
Thanks, Riley. And you're spot on with that statement. With Jerome Powell's second term as the Federal Reserve Chair coming to a close on May 15th, one nominee stands out among the rest. That appointed by Trump recently is Kevin Warsh. Earlier this week, Warsh released a 69-page disclosure revealing his assets were anywhere from $135 million to $226 million. Compared to other chairs, we can see that even the person that was serving as the chair before Walsh was right around that $4 million mark, and now current Powell sits somewhere around 50 and 75 million, and all of a sudden we're seeing that Warsh is bringing in this nearly $230 million value, which definitely the Federal Reserve has not been used to seeing in the past. Much of this money is coming from over $1 million coming from the Jaggernet Fund, $10.2 million in consulting firms billionaire Drunken Miller's family office, and over $2 billion from his wife, Jane Lauder, granddaughter of Estee Lauder. To avoid conflicts of interest, Warsh has agreed to sell many of his assets in Drunken Miller, as well as many of his corporate ownings, like his shares in UPS and Coupang, South Korea's equivalent of Amazon. However, these actions are not enough for many to believe he will be successful in his role. Democratic Banking Committee leader Elizabeth Warren says otherwise.
You have a Federal Reserve that is making decisions not based on the economy, but based on politics. Then over the long arc, that destroys jobs, that drives up prices, that creates chaos, that reduces America's role in the world economy. So everybody understands Fed independence.
So it all comes down to the Senate Banking Committee with Warsh's scheduled hearing on April 21st following the end of his investigation. So kind of tell us about that, take us through that and everything that's going on.
Absolutely. Well, it really comes down to the idea that there's no independent judgment going on here. And, Warsh is someone who worked with the Bush administration for a while. He was one of the youngest governors ever elected. He worked with the Federal Board of Governors for a really long time, where he was constantly advocating for these high interest rates and this high inflation. And now all of a sudden we're starting to see him kind of switch up on what he believes in. And a lot of people believe that it has to do with Trump trying to get him into this position as soon as possible. And now he's advocating for low inflation, and he's advocating for these low interest rates. And a lot of people feel like he's just playing a lot of politics into this, instead of doing what's best for the economy necessarily. He's kind of just working as a quote unquote White House employee and doing whatever Trump wants so he can get into that term and he can take that seat faster. And honestly, at the end of the day, this is going to end up hurting the economy more than it's going to help it. And especially with those numbers that we saw with how much his worth is, people are worried that his financial choices are going to impact him positively, and he's going to focus on trying to take advantage of that instead of helping the country as a whole.
So what is the crux of this investigation skepticism stem from?
Absolutely. So Jerome Powell is being pushed out of office a little bit sooner than he was expecting. His term isn't supposed to end until May 15th, and he's starting to be pushed out because he is demanding that Congress helps find another $600,000 to help with these Federal Reserve renovations, and the Department of Justice is feeling a little skeptical about it because they feel that he might be misleading them. And on the other side, Warsh is still refusing to admit to a lot of these assets that he considers confidential with private equity and things like that. So it's making a lot of people uncomfortable that why are we putting this guy into office sooner when the person that has formerly been in this role still is very open about how they're spending money. Warsh isn't necessarily doing that. But overall, the bigger picture is that Senator Tillis has put a hold on Warsh to become the next chair. And Trump is trying to push Powell out of that role a little bit earlier, but because Senator Tillis is putting this hold on Warsh, then he can't necessarily step into that role any sooner, meaning that Powell is going to have to extend potentially his role a little bit longer than Trump would necessarily like. So this conversation is going on April 21st, and we're going to see how that goes. But if they can't come to a conclusion on the 21st, they really only have 3 weeks to figure out who is going to take this next role as chair of the Federal Reserve.
All right, thank you so much, Vanessa.
Should be interesting.
Big impacts on the economy there. Well, Netflix co-founder and executive chairman Reed Hastings will not seek re-election to the company's board of directors once his term expires in June. Hastings' decision comes less than 3 years after he stepped down as co-CEO and became the board's executive chairman.
This also follows Netflix's first quarter earnings report. The company beat expectations for revenue, reporting over $12 billion for the first quarter. The streaming giant also reported a net income of over $2.5 billion, or $1.23 per share. That's nearly double what it reported during the same period last year. Despite this report, shares fell 8% in extended trading. The suspect in the attack on the home of OpenAI CEO Sam Altman and the company's headquarters is being held without bail. 20-year-old Daniel Marino Gamma allegedly threw an incendiary device in Altman's home and went to OpenAI's office and threatened to kill anyone inside. His arraignment on charges of attempted murder and attempted arson was moved to May 5th. He could also face charges related to domestic terrorism.
Well, the top federal regulator for the prediction market industry is vowing to crack down on insider trading. Commodity Futures Trading Commission Chairman Michael Selig stated, "I want to be crystal clear to anyone who engages in fraud, manipulation, or insider trading in any of our markets. We will find you and the full force of the law will come to bear." Now, experts have been flagging possible insider activity on Polymarket after seeing remarkably accurate and well-timed trades before U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran and before the U.S. captured Venezuela's leader. Selig says the CFTC currently has hundreds of thousands of ongoing investigations. Coming up on Market Shares, United Airlines CEO is flooring a merger with United. What that would mean for the airline industry, coming up.
They took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
STEM is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
Welcome back to Market Shares. Mycium shares more than doubled yesterday after the social media platform provider became the latest company to refocus efforts on artificial intelligence. The penny stock surged around 130% to above $3 a share. The stock climbed to its highest levels in more than a year and recorded its best day since early 2025. The company announced it would change its name to Mycium AI as it tries to integrate AI into its platforms. Shares will trade under the MYSE ticker.
Snap, the parent of messaging platform Snapchat, shares jumped around 7% earlier this week. This comes after the company announced plans to splash up to 16% of its workforce. CEO Evan Spiegel said in a letter to staff that the reduction would affect around 1,000 members of staff and that at least 300 open positions would be closed. He also said that AI advancements are helping staff work faster and reduce repetitive work. The company expects to reduce its yearly expenses by over $500 million with the reductions.
Spirit Airlines' bankruptcy exit plan is under new pressure after a sharp rise in jet fuel prices. Spirit has been struggling to regain its footing from a second bankruptcy in less than a year. The budget airline built its turnaround on fuel costs averaging around $2.24 per gallon in 2026 and even lower in 2025. but fuel prices are now over $4 a gallon. The airline had planned to shrink and focus on high demands and travel periods and routes in a bid to exit bankruptcy as early as this spring. The exact day the carrier could begin liquidation, though, is not clear. And from Spirit to United, the airline industry has seen a lot of turbulence recently. Get it? From rising gas prices to increased fares for customers, our Grace Elford is here to break down a potential new merger of two of the world's biggest carriers. Grace?
Yeah, Riley, news broke this week that Scott Kirby, the CEO of United Airlines, pitched a merger deal with American Airlines to President Donald Trump. This would be one of the biggest deals between two air carriers in decades, sparking some concern for the industry as a whole. United and American are already two of the world's largest carriers, controlling a combined 34% of total passenger capacity. They're known as a part of the Big Four, the airlines who dominate U.S.-based travelers. If it goes through, this deal would create the world's largest airline. Both airlines are members of global alliances, with United belonging to the Star Alliance and American being a part of One World. Both of these groups allow the airlines to provide thousands of routes, comfortable cabins, and loyalty perks to their customers. Kirby wants to create a strong U.S.-based carrier in order to take better control of these customers who are flying internationally. He said 2/3 of long-haul flights coming in and out of the U.S. are foreign carriers, despite only 40% of passengers being foreign citizens. Combining American and United would make a strong competitor in the international markets, focusing in on the U.S. trade deficits.
Yeah, Grace, definitely seems from an outsider perspective that this is a monopoly in some senses. What problems do people have with this deal other than it just simply is a monopoly straight up?
Well, Drew, yeah, combining these two companies would create a huge company having a lot of control over the market. And they'd be able to set those prices, especially for some of those routes, like say from my hometown in Pittsburgh to Syracuse, we only have a couple airline options. So they would ultimately be setting the prices for those routes. It would make the fares go up for the customers. And not to mention, merging two unions of workers, the United workers and the American workers, would cause a lot of logistical issues. Some of those workers even fear losing their jobs because of these two companies combining.
Now, Grace, what's really the likelihood that this deal actually goes through?
Well, Riley, it's not very likely. Now, the Federal Trade Commission under Trump has been more willing to deal with mergers, but the administration is focusing on lowering that cost of living and trying to fix the economy, as they say. So this would affect the wallets of Americans. They're going to be paying more for airlines, and Donald Trump does not want to do that. Also, antitrust lawyers are saying it would not clear all the regulations needed to happen.
What does this mean for big hub airports, Grace?
Well, the airlines are both huge. They have multiple U.S. hubs, but especially at Chicago O'Hare Airport, they would control 90% of the gates if they combine. So that's really taking the competition away and giving other airlines not much space at all. So they would probably be forced to divest and lose gates at multiple airports so they could give some space to the smaller airlines. We saw this back in 2013 when American merged with US Air. They did have to give up some of those gates to maintain some competition and give it over to the lower cost airlines like JetBlue, Spirit, things like that.
All right, Grace, thank you so much. Coming up on Market Shares, an app that will suggest drinks based on your mood, how Starbucks is partnering with ChatGPT when we return.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Welcome back to Market Shares. Starbucks has announced it's testing a new app on OpenAI's ChatGPT platform. Customers using the app can describe what kind of drink they want, or they can even upload a photo of the weather or their outfit, and the chatbot will suggest options for them to order.
Wow, customers will customize their drinks and start their orders in ChatGPT, but will finish checking out in the Starbucks app. This isn't the first time OpenAI has partnered with brand names. Last fall, the startup tried something similar with Walmart and with Target. Get AI out of my coffee.
Okay, you don't like this?
No, I don't like this. I think, no, listen, I understand anything that AI touches is practically gold at this point. But Starbucks, I mean, are you kidding me? It's coffee. You get a little cream, you get a little sugar, and you move on with your day. People are making this way too big of a deal.
Drew, but what if you can't decide? What if I'm not a coffee drinker?
What if you can't? Then you shouldn't be ordering coffee.
If we uploaded our outfits, right? What is it going to give us?
Oh my goodness, probably a cup of Joe Schmo. I don't care what it gives me.
You're really, is this because you work at Dunkin' Donuts?
No, it's because I don't want AI in my coffee drinks. Thank you very much.
All right, well.
I mean, maybe it'd give me like a refresher, is that a thing?
Well, you know all of them. You know all, because you can make all of them. So I don't know the different drinks.
I think they'd give you like a venti frappuccino with 8 pumps of caramel and no coffee in it.
That's what fine, because I don't even like coffee.
Yeah, I can tell. Yeah. I can tell.
What's wrong with this guy?
This guy right here.
Well, it was also announced yesterday, Drew.
Woke up on the wrong side of the bet, I guess.
It was also announced yesterday.
I don't need AI in my coffee.
I get it. You don't need AI in your coffee.
I just want to make this clear.
I think you have.
I think AI doing everything and anything, including ordering people's Starbucks drinks, is ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, it's absolutely crazy. If you can't order, viewer, if you can't order a Starbucks drink without the help of ChatGPT, then you should not be ordering Starbucks. And quite frankly, please stay in your room because I do not want to be interacting with you. Okay? So we can just get that out of the way.
I think we got it out of the way.
I think that the Starbucks. Anyways,
all right,
we can leave it there.
Okay, we can leave it there. You're very passionate about this, Drew. Well, there's going to be a new Starbucks location coming to Syracuse University campus. Oh, you're excited about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they announced it yesterday.
I like Starbucks.
That's coming to campus, but they're not telling us where it's going to be yet. They say it's going to be either in Deneen, Eggers, Bird, or Slocum. Now,
with our luck, it's going to be in Deneen.
Exactly. I don't even. What is Deneen? I don't know what Deneen is.
It's the law school down the hill from the Dome.
Right.
So I guess Joe Biden and all of them can drink it, but
well,
yeah,
I feel like that would have been part of the presentation.
Right. And that Starbucks also somewhat close to the Starbucks that's already.
There is already one on West Campus, right?
Right.
So I don't. I think we can rule that out.
I think Pages would be an ideal location.
Pages? Is that in Bird?
Yeah. In Bird.
I think that would make the most sense. I think
the main campus.
People would enjoy that.
Competes with Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. That would be a competitor. That would make your job a little easier because I know you're always swamped back there making all the drinks.
Yeah, for all I care, people don't have to come to Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh,
yeah.
Jeez, I will not. Okay, I hope they're not watching. All right, well, that's all the time we have for you on this episode of Market Shares. So be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at CitrusTV News and like us on Facebook. I'm Riley Underwood.
And I'm Drew Albaugh. Have a great night, Syracuse.
And leave AI out of his coffee.
And don't coffee in general.